But I think probably.
How much input did you have with the actual recording process?
Um, well, when we started, the others weren't too familiar with actual recording. Actual recording. I think Mikey was, but I mean Roy was as well, but they weren't too familiar because they're younger than me. They hadn't done it. But I had obviously worked in the studio, and also it was a time when the drum machines were just starting. So being a drummer, I looked at it and I thought, I've got to learn to use this, but incorporate the two. So that made me very involved. Plus, I used a lot of percussion. So normally, I mean, being a drummer, you know, sometimes people say you just go in and you play and that's it. But I was a lot more involved in that because of the music. It was, like I said, eclectic, and the rhythms are very important to it. Plus the fact that when Steve Levine finished the first Do You Really Want to Hurt Me, I wasn't pleased with it, and then he realised he wasn't pleased with it either. So that's when I would come in and help him mix at the end. It wasn't. I mean, I did it, but I got pushed out at the end. It always happens, you know.
How did it feel having that sort of first flush of success, knowing that you'd actually made it?
Great. For me, I mean, I'm sure for everybody it's fantastic, but for me it was great because my parents were very worried. My father was saying, yeah, what are you doing this for? You never make it, and you're crap, basically. And if your grandfather was alive, and, you know, typical sort of Jewish family background, if your grandfather had known what you would do. I say to my peers, so what do you want to do? So I want to be, you know, a musician. They go, are you going to play bar mitzvahs? Are you going to, you know, do you get a lot of engagements? I go, yeah, you know, it's all right. So for that, but my dad was brilliant because when we actually did it, you know, I'm just great fit, you know, brilliant. You know, the Son's on our #1 record, albeit like, oh dear.
How did Culture Club go from global triumph to self-destruction in the 80s?
It shouldn't have happened. I think basically, I mean, with George, I don't know what happened really. I mean, obviously, we didn't really. I mean, we fell out, but I think we fell out definitely as a consequence of what was going on. I mean, drugs, but I don't think the drugs came first with George. I think that George had a lot of people around him who. I mean, he's very creative, George. He does like to change. And I don't think if George feels like he's tied down, whether it's financially sensible or whatever it is, that doesn't matter to him. And I think a lot of people around him saying, oh, you know, you're the gay thing, you know, like you should tell everybody you're gay, and you should, you know, really having, you know, sticking the knife in. And I think they were very jealous, and they were saying to him, well, nobody takes you seriously, you're a puppet, you're this, you're that. And I think that George was clever enough to have dealt with that. He's not stupid, but I think that had a lot to do with it. I know what George said. In fact, I know that had a lot to do with it. There are people that's, you know, in that's a Queenie community. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that, you know, they're not really pleased. I don't think. I'm being honest. I don't think they're that pleased when you are successful. And I think a lot of people try to pull him down. Now, I saw that. But I think, especially with me and George being together, you know, and staying in one room together, and then Mikey and Roy, so it became not against each other, but it become. I think after a while. They became distant from me and George. I mean, when I was becoming distant from George because it was getting difficult. And I think the band started to, you know, individually started to go separate ways, not musically, but I think it was a very dynamic thing. I mean, all bands are like that, but you've got to remember, you're not talking about 4 heterosexual guys, you know what I mean? Yeah. To 4 sort of blokes all going to have a punch up. And, you know, obviously with George and me and Roy and Mikey, and they were different as well. They're not your average sort of like rocker type guys, you know. Well, Roy was actually, but and I think really that, you know, the pressures. And also, none of the other guys have been in bands. You see, I've been in bands. I've done it. I toured before, and I don't think they really understood it. I think it was a shock. It must have been. You know.
Was it musically difficult to all pull in the same direction?
It got difficult because I'm not quite sure what George wanted to do. I mean, he went to New York and he started to get sort of slightly, I don't know, slightly weird. He was ahead of the game in one way, but not. And again, it's that thing where I think we started to lose the eclecticism of the band. I think everybody started to take themselves too seriously.
That's a general thing, though, with any band, isn't it, I suppose?
Well, yeah, you know. Generally, the more expensive the album, the less successful the band is becoming, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
So was it true that you actually went 10 years without speaking to each other?
With George? I don't know if it was 10 years, but I mean... No, but not very often. See, the thing was, with George, what I find strange now, I mean, you know, we get on, well, it's up to him. I get on with him, and I've taken a lot of stick off him for whether he thinks he's right or not. As you know, I mean, you know, it's like a very tolerant, peaceful man. Easy going, but I mean, I did speak to George. But I mean, for example, I started doing a track when I was living in St John's Wood. I had a studio there, and he said, "I want to come over and do something. I've got a great idea." Okay, he came over with Helen Terry. I'm a little 8-track going to the studio, fantastic. He said, "Oh, fuck, I'm going. I don't know, in the evening or something," and that was it. I've got to phone him and stuff, you know. And 3 months later, he said, "I'm coming round to finish that track off." I said, "What, George, hold on a minute." I said, "Which track?" All right. So listen, give me a couple of hours to get all. No, that's fuck you up and say fuck. I go, fuck you. No, if you don't want to do it, I don't want to work with you again. Slam. And it was difficult. It was difficult. So 3 months later, sort of hi, I'm outside.
Right. Yeah. But those tensions. Do you think creatively that can be a good thing?
No.
You don't.
No, I don't agree.
Destructive.
With that. Yeah, it's destructive. Mm-hmm. It's destructive. Because, I mean, the main reason I find it's destructive because, I mean, for whatever our gripes with each other, I don't really understand what was wanted of me. I mean, you have a relationship's finished. I mean, that's the way it goes. But you can't seriously hold a grudge against someone for that. Well, I suppose you can, but I don't know whether I think it's just the way George is. He's just that kind of person, and I'm not treated any worse than some other people. So,
But was it difficult having a relationship with somebody in the band when there's 4 people in the band?
No, not really at first. I mean, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. I mean, because it was like a sort of fairy tale love affair, if you like. I mean, you can imagine, it's like starting a business with your wife or lover or husband, whatever it is, So no, it wasn't. It was great, but it did get claustrophobic because I mean, the thing about George is he found it hard to go out. But the wonderful thing about some people when they wear a lot of makeup and they dress up is if they don't wear their makeup and they go out, the chances are they will not be recognised. So there are ways around it. I think George decided to go out in full regalia. I mean, it's not surprising. You can't go into McDonald's in full regalia. Cannot do it.
I like a quote that's been attributed to you, where you say Culture Club feels like a box that you put in the attic and take back down again when needed. Is that how it feels?
Well, not really. I mean, I love Culture Club. I love Culture Club. I mean, nothing I've done musically has been as successful as Culture Club, which is fair enough. But I think it'd be pretty good if I had done. But if I just did something else in whatever region it was, I mean, I've had success in other things, but it was very successful. I'd still love Culture Club. That's the thing. Sometimes George thinks that, the rest of us want to do it because, we just want the money and it's this and that. I mean, of course, you have families and stuff like that, but it's not that. It's when we actually get together now. When we got together and George had another group who he sort of put onto the side of the original group, because he's quite loyal like that, they realised what it was when the 4 of us got together. There was definitely a magic and a charisma there. And you can't replace that with whatever you do. It's nothing to do with money or success or whatever you do, you cannot replace that. So, I mean, I love Culture Club, really. It's my thing. It's like, and I think George does as well, It's like, I know he does, really, I've got a band at the moment called Emoticon, right?
There's that name again.
No, I swear to you, honestly, this band, and I'll tell you what's funny, we've got a gay singer.
Yeah.
Me, right? No, not me, I'm not a gay singer, the drummer, Jewish drummer, gay singer, Jewish drummer, black bass player, and a guitarist, well, he's sort of white with long hair, but black hair, so it's almost sort of replicant of Culture Club. It's not the same at all. Now, this guy, a guy called Steve Swindles, he had a lot of albums out in the 70s. He was a journalist, he ran loads of clubs, and he's just got this amazing... I mean, I've known him for years. It was only about 2 years ago that I actually knew that he was still writing songs and singing. So we just went in and recorded them down in Bristol, massive attack studio there, very cheap. Straight in, 4 tracks, he'll play them on the piano like that, and we'll just go, right, roll the tape, literally like that, and they sound really fresh. So I played to a few people, and everybody I played them to loves them. I'm playing to friends of mine, kids who are 17, 18, they go, yeah, I really like this, great, I mean, I've had a few bands like that. This one is great, it could do really well, but, he's 50, I'm 45, so who knows? But you can't stop giving up. And the thing is, I can't stop, what am I going to do? I can't stop doing that. You've got to keep making music.
That's great. Well, all the best for the future, and thank you, Jon.
Thank you very much indeed.